This is the Nightshade Cult, a podcast macabre.
We bid you welcome. Enter freely and of your own will.
I'm Nick Grimm.
And I'm David Graves.
And we'll be your horror hosts for this dissection of Tobe Hooper's 1979 Gothic Horror, Salem's Lot, also known as Bloodthirst in some territories.
Good evening. Yeah, this was a made for TV. They were supposed to originally do it as cinema. They wanted to do, but the director said the book, because it's a novel adaptation from Stephen King, it was too dense to do in 2 hours. It's not possible.
No one could crack it. It seems like, as far as like condensing the book, which it is. I just finished the book today.
Wow.
I think it was at least 11 hours. It might have been 19 hours. Like,
oh, dang.
It was a darn long book, which I understand is a signature of Stephen King.
Yeah. You get a lot for your money.
Yeah. And they could not, the various screenwriters would take whacks at it, and no one could really make sense of it into a 2-hour format. So it got bumped down to Warner Television, and then that's when the decision was made to make it into a two-part event.
Yeah, and this was made for about $4 million in the late 70s, and we don't have box office numbers because it was never in the box office.
No, but it was a big rating success for them.
It was a big draw. It's basically like a cinematic event from a big name author, and everyone was glued to the TV. Yeah,
so this was very common in the late 70s and into the 80s. The 2-night movie event. They even did extended cuts of movies like Richard Donner's Superman. There was an extended cut so they could show it over 2 nights. So you have your Sunday night, and then this is a ratings boost for Monday night, which is usually like a down night.
Yeah, because everybody wants to see how it ends.
Yeah. And all the vampire stuff is in the second half of it, essentially. So, if you sat through the Sunday movie, you have to be there for Monday to watch it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, this is about vampires. It kind of reminded me when I was watching it, I was like, okay, so they got the Psycho house.
Yeah, it does look like the Psycho house.
And then they got Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And then they got some, kid Feratus.
Yeah, and just I didn't know going into this, because this is like a cult classic movie and a very influential film. When I found out it was a TV movie, I was surprised. I didn't know that because Kurt Barlow is one of the iconic vampires of the 70s.
Sure.
And I've seen pictures of that vampire makeup and the kid vampires and stuff in any book about horror movies. Salem's Lot is going to get mentioned.
Yeah.
And so I've just always assumed that this was a theatrical film until I was like, well, I should explain this. We're doing this in reaction to us watching Sinners. Yeah. We're exploring some of the influences on Sinners, and this is one of the ones that gets mentioned.
Absolutely.
But until I looked it up, I did not know it was a TV movie. I just thought it was a movie.
Yeah, for sure. This was not on my radar at all. I mean, I knew Salem's Lot. I didn't even know it was really a vampire movie. I knew it was a horror movie. Okay. And then I watched a lot of interviews with Ryan Coogler, and he always talked about how this is a influence. And I can totally see that, because there's vampires who are people
and they want to be let in.
And they want you to let them in.
Yeah.
And it's so core to this movie and so core to Sinners.
Yeah.
So he really, he really added that, took that directly. Although the vampires don't look anything alike. This is very different look. These are Nosferatu style.
Yeah, he took the aesthetic of the near dark vampire and applied it to the rules of the Salem's Lot vampire.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost say that this is like these vampires remind me of like the Sookie Stackhouse, what was that show?
True Blood?
True Blood vampires. You know, they're good look. Not these vampires. The ones in Sinners are like good looking and
right.
Whatever. These ones, they weren't evidently, according to some of the behind the scenes stuff I watched. The vampires in the book are not horrifically ugly and all of that.
Yeah, no, they actually are all very attractive.
Yeah,
and Barlow is very articulate and is much more of a Dracula, like explicitly he's a Count Dracula analog.
Yeah, Stephen King wrote this after reading Dracula and thinking, I want to do an American vampire novel.
It was what would happen if Dracula came to Maine, essentially. And it is very indebted to Dracula. Like, I expected early on that it was going to be more like Dracula. Like when
we got some rats.
Yeah, when the ship arrived with the coffin, I was like, oh, this is just Dracula from the point of view of someone in the village.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, no, not quite. It's doing other things. Like, it goes around, it meanders around. You used the word off mic describing Stephen King's work as being meandering.
Oh, yeah.
That is also the word that I've jumped to mind when I was watching this and reading the book.
Yeah, I'm not a Stephen King hater. I read the entire Dark Tower series, and even that is just hella meandering. It's just his style.
Yeah.
And some people really like that every scene has room to breathe.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I was going to comment. The reason, on one of the interviews that I saw, the reason they decided to make these guys more like Nosferatu, more like Count Orlok, less like Dracula, is because they thought it would be scarier on the screen if they were kind of the embodiment of evil.
Yeah.
And so it would make the turning of the kids and the various people, the lady, etc., it would be more horrific. It would be more disturbing to the audience.
Yeah.
Because there aren't really jump scares. I mean, maybe a little bit in this, but it's mostly a creeper. Like you're supposed to be like just it's supposed to be suspenseful.
Yeah, it's very much a slow burn and like tension raised as more and more people are affected and figuring out what's going on.
Absolutely.
I read a little blip from Richard Corbett, who's Cobritz. That's, I want the R to be before the B. Cobritz. Yeah. He didn't want to do a Lugosi style Dracula, and that's why he looked towards Nosferatu. But then you have the issue of how do you make that talk with a mouthful of rat fangs?
The answer is you don't.
Yeah, you have the familiar do the talking, which is a kind of the familiar is in the book and is a major player, but the familiar doesn't speak for the master in the book. The master does his own speaking.
Yeah, it's an interesting stylistic decision. Yeah. There was recently a Salem's Lot remake in 2024.
I want to watch that.
I haven't watched it. I've thought about watching it, but I was going to. I had time today. I was thinking about it, but then I was like, no, not until after I've recorded this, because that will just like sully my opinion.
I had the same thought, but I still almost watched it last night because I kept seeing clips from it online, like on Instagram, when I was doing my notes and coming up with hashtags and things like that, and I kept seeing footage from the new one, and it's a modern looking movie with modern effects, and I was like, this looks really cool, I want to watch this. Like, maybe I'll watch it right now. We should wait till we have this discussion and only have one movie in mind. But.
I don't think this is a big name movie, but it because it's it's from the 70s. I kind of think about, like, I was thinking about this last night, and I almost feel like there's almost a malaise era of cinema. It almost feels like the 60s and 70s are not as celebrated as earlier monster movies.
Oh, yeah. In regards to horror,
yeah. In regards to horror, though there's like really a gap between the classics that everyone loves, and then there's modern ones that are really good. Sinners, Nosferatu, etc. Let the Right One In, even the Bigelow one, Near Dark, that are celebrated movies. But then there's like this malaise era, and this falls firmly in that era. Yeah,
I think something you have going on. This is also the era of the first elevated horrors. This movie, like in relation to Stephen King adaptations, this is after Carrie, before The Shining.
Okay.
And so like The Shining is of course a big elevated horror. The Omen, The Exorcist, that stuff's all kind of just happening at this era. And the highbrow horror movies. And so this is deliberately a throwback. And it's a kind of a retro horror movie. And so it doesn't fall into that category at all. But what I think it does is it was something that the older Gen Xers that grew up with this on TV and saw it like maybe when they're 9 was something that has haunted them for their whole lives.
For sure. You know, what this also reminded me of while I was thinking of like older cinema stuff, is this reminded me, it really felt like it had the same pacing and style as Jaws.
Oh yeah.
Corrupt small town, you got you got all your little stories, and you got to go around the town and meet everybody in these little vignettes, and then after you've kind of learned about the whole town, the story can happen. It's the same setup.
You know what I had in that line, what I thought was David Lynch would have directed the shit out of a Salem's Lot movie.
Oh yeah, that would have been
because
great.
It's totally like he would have made it in the Puget Sound or something instead of in the East Coast. But this sort of like malignant small town and a eldritch horror is introduced is totally like the Lynch milieu. It's like what he loves to play with.
Oh yeah, I think he would have done a good job. Although I don't think that Lynch would have played nice with Stephen King, because Lynch always wants full creative control ever since the Dune debacle.
But Stephen King never has control.
He never cares.
He just lets it go. Yeah, generally he just lets it go and is very critical when he doesn't like it. But he's not a hands-on.
He's like George Martin, who just takes a crap on.
He'll be like, because
the last few seasons,
like famously, Stephen King hates The Shining, which is like considered a masterpiece.
It's like maybe my favorite Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, well, because it's so far from the book. I think we'll get to that in December. That's scheduled for December. We'll get to that one soon.
Yeah, we'll get more King in here.
Yeah, we're starting to pick away at King, and I'm pretty ignorant to these things overall.
Well, I mean, we're almost 50 episodes in on this podcast, and we did like 80-ish episodes previous to this, so we've done a lot of our cult favorites. Now we got to branch. You know, it's after 100-ish movies and albums and TV shows and stuff, you got to start finding new content. And since neither of us are super Stephen King fans, but he is a mainstay of the genre.
I'm King curious. Is what I am. Yeah, I really thought about doing this one last year as part of our Nosferatu series.
Because he's Nosferatu adjacent.
Oh, very much. Yeah,
for sure. Just like Count Orlok is just like Dracula from Temu. Yeah, like this dude is Orlok from Temu.
Yeah, it is quite removed. Yeah, but it's.
And I want to go on record as saying I'm on Team Orlok. I like him out of the three. I like Orlok.
I do like. Yeah, I like Nosferatu vampires.
Yeah,
there's one more. I think Fright Night has a Nosferatu style vampire.
There's got to be more than that.
I don't know. We see which. Yeah, we'll have to do.
We have to do some research.
Which vampire movies have Nosferatu style vampires in them?
Yeah. Well, I think we should play the music, and we can jump into the writing, directing, and themes, which we've already kind of started.
Yeah. A widowed author returns to the small New England town where he grew up to confront past trauma and work on a new novel. He soon discovers that he is not the only new arrival in town, and that the house that terrified him as a child is now inhabited by an ancient evil.
Yeah, and the plot line is, I say this a lot, but it's straightforward and simple. But in this case, this is not about a linear plot. This is about characters. This is about a setting, a place, and a time. It's sort of you're watching an event unfold, and you see it from half a dozen perspectives, because there is kind of a lead, but ultimately you skip around and sort of see through different characters' eyes a lot.
Yeah, it kind of builds an ensemble. Like we've mentioned earlier, it's inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Dracula has this cool collection of guys, right? That go off to hunt Dracula in the end. And this book and this film do the same thing. It's you sort of assemble this team of a modern version of the guys from Dracula.
Yeah, like I was surprised, like the young kid vampire hunter.
Yeah, Mark Petrie.
The precocious kid who I thought would be lame, but he actually was pretty cool. He was like the Lost Boys guys, you know?
I love Mark Petrie so much. Like, I want a full set of those Aurora monster models now. Because I've always been aware of these models forever. And then he has like that setup on his table with all of the Aurora kits. And I was like, they do look pretty cool when you get them all together like that.
Yeah, I bet you they're probably pretty collectible.
Yeah, I think they are, but they made them for years and years. And so they're not rare. It's probably rare to find that haven't been painted badly.
Yeah, like new in box or whatever.
Yeah. But if you're not picky and you will get out of box ones,
you're willing to repaint it.
Yeah. Or I kind of want the glow in the, because there's the regular versions that you paint, and then there is the glow in the dark versions that came out a few years later. And if you just get all the glow in the dark ones, you had to be like a heathen to have painted those.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, a full set of the glow in the dark ones. Yeah, maybe I might have to start that. I need a new thing to collect.
Yeah, you need more stuff to put on shelves.
Yeah, more monsters. I thought not enough monsters.
You should get rid of the comic book stuff and replace it with monsters.
With just all monsters. Yeah, not implausible. Okay,
so on this thing, it's worth noting that the writers had to consolidate a crap load of characters from the book. So there are people doing multiple roles from the story, and you can sort of see that because in the watching of the movie, even if you haven't read the book, which is me, because some of the characters, they almost feel like not realistic people.
Yes, that's true. Several characters are doing double, triple duty to make things work. But I think they do a pretty good job of it.
They do fine.
Yeah, of artfully condensing them down. And it's a screenplay by Paul Monash, who was the guy that finally cracked it, you know, and even King said that he liked the screenplay. And that he made good choices as far as like what to condense, and like there's a lot of sort of rework in the book of like going to a place, leaving and coming back to it, and they just sort of streamline that down. Let's just make everything happen when you go there, instead of cycling around. And
that's a good choice.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it'd be interesting to adapt a sprawling novel and kind of go, what has to happen for this story to make sense? Who has to be there? What can we lose, and make those hard cuts?
Yeah, I mean, me being, my wife being a super fan of The Wheel of Time and us watching the Amazon series, they did a ton of that as well. Characters consolidated, entire storylines cut out. Yeah. And so I've watched several YouTube videos from different content creators who discuss like why they made stylistic decisions, etc. And so I really like that kind of thinking, like, because I think you stop thinking of things as like a passive receiver of entertainment, and you actually think of the story like a storyteller, and you can appreciate it that this is so good, this is so well done, because they made such excellent decisions about this scene, and sometimes if you're watching a movie and you're not just sort of brain in neutral and you're trying to analyze it, you just will see scenes and you're like, this is a throwaway scene, this is a throwaway scene. This, despite being long and having very, what I would call, uneven pacing, there aren't a ton of throwaway scenes if you just consider the perspective of the storyteller. How they were attempting to initially set the scene, and they're trying to do a lot of show don't tell. So they have characters doing things and interacting with one another, so you learn about them by seeing what they do.
And the history of the town unfolds that way.
They show you get snippets of the play, you get snippets of the kid's speech. So you learn about the setting through formative scenes, just like it was a novel. And so I think that even though I was bored at times, I would say this is a 3-hour flick. If you watch it full beginning to end, I would say of the 3 hours, I was probably bored for about an hour.
At least.
At least. That's generous. But I don't think there was a ton of wasted time. It's just meandering and long-winded. It's like a really old man telling you a story.
It is a grandpa story. That's that's a great analogy.
But I'm also here for grandpa stories. I like listening to old guys tell stories.
And it's so like New England meandering, like the guy at the guy at the gas station when you stop to get gas and you ask directions and he gives you the whole history of the county. Like it feels like that.
This also reminded me of the first Friday the 13th movie. How they show driving a Jeep. You show up, you get people talking about things. You learn a little bit. Before it gets schlocky.
It's way better than Friday the 13th.
Well, absolutely. But it has the same kind of vibe. It's probably just the era of let's set the stage. Let's show you the entire setting, and then we'll play in the setting.
And that's a good segue to mention director Tobe Hooper, who's the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And this is before.
This is after.
Oh, after.
So he was sought at Warner Brothers wanted him because people had seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that was already a big cult hit. And I think studios love these indie horror guys to this day. Like, you do a good indie horror movie and you'll get big offers because they come in under budget and on time. And that's really what
horror movies.
That's what the studio is concerned with. And so they're like, if you could make that with that much money in that amount of time, here, come, we'll give you a little more.
We'll give you $4 million and a Stephen King script.
And
do something.
And this had to be a good paycheck,
Absolutely.
Because it's Warner Brothers. It's not an independent thing. And TV means residuals. So this is something that they had to cut checks every time this aired. And this aired probably, as like a midnight movie and stuff for years.
Absolutely, And I think that he did a really good job of creating an extremely atmospheric horror movie. Like in the beginning, even before it gets horror-ish, it still is a whole mood and vibe and style. You're just like watching it. You're like, okay, I'm settling into this New England darkness.
Which is weird because they filmed in California,
and
it looks very Bay Area.
but the whole way, the whole vibe of everything. I don't know. It's I liked it. I liked how Hooper was able to kind of make an atmosphere of terror.
He was really good and clearly hearkening back, obviously, to Nosferatu, but to Universal horrors.
Yeah.
Because
I thought they actually used the Psycho house, but no, it was a prop they built.
Yeah, it's wild because the house that they built it onto is such a little nothing, looks like maybe like a single wide manufactured home, and they built like a 3-story Victorian mansion facade on top of it. It looks crazy.
It's totally crazy.
Yeah, but it does look like the Psycho house, very much so.
I do also want to say the cars they chose for this. I really like the Cadillac.
Yeah, that black Cadillac is so cool.
I love those classic Jeeps too.
Yeah.
Like they just chose cool cars.
And they are not the vehicles that are described in the book because Ben drives a Citroen in the book. And Stryker drives a Packard.
Okay, I mean those are really niche vehicles. Like, you wouldn't find, it'd be hard to find those to make the movie.
Probably, yeah. Whereas Jeeps, especially in the time period, are a dime a dozen.
And the whole thing about a Jeep is it doesn't matter what year or whatever because they all look the same. That's the thing about Jeeps is that they all look the same.
And that black Cadillac, which is probably like 10 years old. That's like a late 60s.
Yeah, that's
Cadillac.
a 60s Cadillac.
That looks like something a vampire would drive.
Absolutely.
Or like
I was telling Carrie, it's like, I want a Cadillac like that, or maybe a Lincoln of the era.
Yeah.
A big black Lincoln or Caddy. Mm-hmm. Oh, so cool.
Yeah. And you ride in the trunk and you're familiar drives.
I mean, I fancy myself a bit of a vampire.
Yeah. They picked cooler vehicles, I think.
Absolutely.
Because I think the Jeep is a big character builder for Ben too.
It lets you know who he is,
what kind of guy he is.
Like he drives up on a curb at one point.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah. It's Stephen King loves his author insert characters. Like, the hero of the book, he's an author.
He's like a cool, good-looking author that gets the chick,
right? It's so funny. Like when he puts the glasses on, and I was like, oh, this is like a blonde, sort of Aryan, handsome version of Stephen King. It's the person he imagines he is.
Because he's he's talented. I generally agree with a lot of his opinions and political views and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes he tweets something crazy.
Sure. He's a crazy old guy, whatever.
Yeah.
But he is not cool and never has been.
No. And he doesn't opt for the...
Unless he's listening, in which case, very cool. You should come on the pod.
He doesn't opt for the lightweight glasses. Like, he goes for the old school Coke bottles.
Oh, the BCGs. Yeah, I call them birth control glasses in the military. I love those.
Yeah. I think Mark Petrie is also Stephen King. There's 2 Stephen Kings in the story, a young one and an old one.
Yeah.
At different phases in his life.
I think they cast these guys really well, and we'll get to the performances later. And I was going to say the other thing that I wanted to kind of call out is how these vampires are super animalistic. I really like that. I loved how they included the rats. I like how they feel very feral. Like this decision, this active decision to go against the book.
Yeah.
It was a good decision.
Yeah.
We don't want Twilight vampires.
Yes, these are the opposite. These are ugly vampires.
And they're kind of gross.
Yeah. And some of that is in the book, because what Stephen King in the foreword of the novel talks about, he wanted to combine Dracula with the EC comics of the 60s, which were more savage vampires, less sophisticated,
like more, comic book Morbius kind of. Like,
more ripping and tearing kind of vampires than like sweet, seductive vampires.
Absolutely. I love the ripping and tearing.
Yeah. Some of the themes, I feel like there's a strong metaphor for child sex abuse in this movie.
I mean, I did notice that all the gals were way younger than the dudes that they were with, like pretty much always. Well, I mean, and then the young boys.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, you have Ben Mears, that's our hero character. He's coming back to the town where he was traumatized and going back to the house where all these young boys disappeared.
Yeah.
And then there's this sort of theme of the kids are the first ones to fall victim, and then the kids victimize the other kids. And it just, there's a metaphor happening there that has to be intentional. especially because I feel like it's a theme that repeats in Stephen King's work all the time.
Yeah, there's always kids in his stuff, and I don't like that usually.
Yeah.
He does it pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree with you that there's a trend.
I'm not a psychologist, but I do feel like you can see this. There's something in his past.
Yeah, you can see the patterns. There's got to be something there.
Other than that, we already kind of mentioned the malignance that kind of hides beneath the surface in small towns. Everyone seems very nice and cheerful in one of these little towns, but then you're like, oh, that guy's a wife beater behind the scenes, and like there's all this sort of darkness right beneath the surface.
Yeah, I think festering corruption and like loss of innocence are kind of the big themes. Like the Glick brothers getting turned, and then
one gets straight up human sacrificed, and
true.
One gets turned.
Yeah, basically, this is a movie about things that are pristine on the surface, but rotten underneath.
Yeah, go down in that root cellar, and there's a eldritch vampire sleeping down there. Should we talk about visuals?
Yeah.
Cinematography is by Jules Brenner. Production design by Mort Rabinowitz. And special makeup by Jack H. Young. And the costumer is Barry Kellogg. I think the movie looks pretty cool. Sometimes it looks great. Occasionally, there's some really good cinematography and very cinematic sort of camera moves. Especially anything to do with the house, like the vampire house. They do some really cool stuff in there.
It feels like the B-roll is really damn good in this movie. It's like the main scenes feel like really basic, like normal TV or movie of the age, but the B-roll stuff is really atmospheric, and you get a lot of style from it. Like they're always getting like foggy nights and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this went from being like a soap opera to being a movie for a few minutes there.
Yeah. For I don't know, maybe half an hour out of 3 hours, it felt very cinematic.
That is about the number I came up with too in my head, and because it's like when it happens, when it locks in, and you get a really cool shot, like the sort of stuff that Hooper's really known for. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though it's a gritty slasher movie, is known for having really beautiful cinematography. Yeah, and he's a great composer of shots. And there's a lot of like two guys in a room talking scenes in this movie. Yeah. So when you get like a crane inside a Victorian mansion that's filled with like moldy taxidermy, and the floor is covered in shit and feathers, and it's like, this is very creepy and very dark feeling. Yeah,
I really liked that part of the movie. Yeah. When the mansion was all gone to pot and it was all gnarly, I was like, ugh. You could smell it.
Yes, totally. It's so tactile and just like scary. Like in that sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre way, like a wall just covered in antlers pointed out is a very scary thing. Like a freaky person lived in this house. Like this is not just an outdoorsman that lived here. A real weirdo lived here.
Yeah. I thought it was a good looking movie. I really liked the vampire makeup. I thought I would hate it, but when you actually got to the vampire himself, what was his name? Barlow? Is that it?
Kurt Barlow.
Yeah, when you get to Kurt Barlow, he looks badass. Like, he looks cool. He's a little bluer than I think you need to be. Yeah. But I do think he looked cool.
I think the blueness is iconic and does distinguish him from Orlok. Because you got to figure Herzog's Nosferatu is right around this time.
Yeah.
And he is a Nosferatu, but he isn't Nosferatu.
He isn't the Nosferatu.
Yeah, he's another member of that same vampire clan.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they could be brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought he looked great. The other vampires, the lesser vampires, you know, it's weird because they get like a glow up. They get all like super handsome when they become like a thrall or whatever they're called, whatever they call them. But yeah, they're not real vampires yet, but they're bitten and they get all fancy and good looking. Yeah, I thought all of that was cool.
Yeah, until they get the full contacts and the rat teeth and all that.
I do like the glowy contacts in here. I thought those looked cool.
Yeah, and that was another thing that reminded me of Sinners.
Oh yeah.
The lesser vampires in this have very similar eyes to the lesser vampires in Sinners.
Yeah, and
not Rimmick's eyes. He had the primo contacts, but just like a regular scrub vampire.
And it was cool because we called it out in the Sinners episode where there were new actually reflective contacts that were developed that were used in Sinners, so the light is actually reflected. It's not added in post, so it doesn't look fake. This was clearly not real. This is added in post. It looks fake, but I can see how Coogler was like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah, and these are old school hard contacts that hurt and are miserable to wear, so like everyone's really suffering to get these shots, but it is one of those things. These are very iconic looking vampires. The other iconic image that's even on the cover of the book now is the little kid vampire floating outside the window.
Yeah.
And they didn't do wires because you can always see the wires. Yeah. They put the kids in a harness and put them on the front of the boom crane you would use for the camera. Yeah. And just sort of lifted them up. And it's smoky and everything
behind them.
Yeah, and the crane's behind them, but they're not where their weight is carried makes them look like they're floating in a more realistic way than wires do.
Yeah, they're not hanging by their britches.
Yeah, exactly. It does not look like that. And then when which is it, Danny Glick, is it that he's the one that turns? Danny Glick, Brad Savage. When he comes in and he bites who does he bite? His mother? Is that who his first victim?
I don't remember, honestly.
But they filmed it backwards. So it looks very weird and sort of dissonant when you watch it. Like the smoke is moving backwards and just sort of the way he approaches is very uncanny looking. And it ends up being very effective. Like it's an easy effect that puts you off, makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they did really good lighting in this movie. Yeah. It was pretty dark. I liked that. It was the only times it wasn't dark that it was like, come on, guys, you got these kid vampires. Darken it up a little bit. It's too bright right now.
So we can't see the flaws in the makeup or whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes like the lighting was just right on. Like when they were shooting the house, that was awesome. But then when they've got these kids, these vampires in the scene, it's just like a full on light right on their face. Yeah. It just looks weird.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. The ones that kind of, when I think back on scenes in the movie that feel very TV, to me, it's stuff, like in the boarding house where Ben is staying in the town, like that just fully seems like a soap opera set.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a set.
Yeah, and it's like so much of the movie feels very grounded, not in reality, but in the reality of the world. Yeah, and then other stuff just feels so TV at times, and you're like, well, those are the moments that you kind of slip out of it. I feel like, and you don't stay locked in. Agreed.
So what about the audio?
We'll go on the audio. We have a banger of a score from Harry Suckman. This is his last recorded soundtrack before he passed away. They wanted an old-fashioned, they said a Bernie Herrmann type score. So like Bernie Herrmann that did the score to Psycho. And mission accomplished. This is an old-fashioned horror movie score, and it rocks. It's really good.
It's like the movie opens, and you get these kind of panning shots and stuff. and the music is on display, and it's like, I know exactly what this is all about. I know I know what's going on here. This is this classic horror movie. This is just old school, slightly cheesy, spooky music. I know exactly what I'm in for.
Yeah, they have those sort of I was gonna say frantic, but anxious is the word. Anxious, like strings, like the Psycho score has. But it goes bombastic sometimes too for the action stuff. And yeah, I was listening to the score as I drove over here. And it's 2 discs. It's one disc for each episode of the movie.
Oh man.
And like characters have themes. Like it's a full on score. They didn't cheap out and just do like three themes that they repeat over and over
they just
again.
cut them up.
Yeah, they scored it like a whole damn movie.
Yeah, you can tell that there are specific cues that they play when it's supposed to be suspenseful, or there are like they punctuate jump scares, and there's music for every occasion in this movie.
And then sometimes the music just drops out, and when it does, it builds tension like it's that calm before a storm feeling you have, like where people start speaking softly and then the music comes back as something appears or whatever.
Yeah, and notably like Kurt Barlow is mute, and he just kind of makes some sounds, and it's
bestial sounds.
Yeah, it's like it's creepy how he is. He's like the sire from
honestly, the sire looks more like Kurt Barlow than he does like Orlok.
On What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah. So, I mean, for sure, this could have been the sire.
Yeah. Maybe it was. No, he dies pretty definitively.
Yeah, he gets wrecked.
And so the sound was by Ron Clark and Richard Raguse. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Neither one is credited as sound design. It's like sound editor and sound recordist or something like that.
Yeah, that was before sound design was a big thing.
Yeah, it's good, though. The sound is good, I think.
I think the sound is better than a lot of other aspects of the movie. It's one of the higher points.
Okay, cool. Is that enough about sound?
Yeah. I don't think we got much else to say.
We're
it's
cooking.
Scored like a classic horror movie. You get what you want.
Yeah, let's get into this cast, because it's a big cast.
Oh, God. Holy crap. There's so many people. And this was after cut.
Yeah. David Soul as Ben Mears is who I have first. Hutch from Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, I mean, he gives kind of this, I guess, down-to-earth, earnest performance, I guess.
He's a real sort of like, he's a writer, but he's not a fancy man. Yeah. Which is, the book makes a bigger point of that he's not an arty farty writer.
He's like a Hemingway or like a Mark Twain.
Yeah. He's a living author. Yeah. That goes out and lives life. He's like, I'm going to write
he's
about...
He's like a Stephen King.
Yeah. And he's like a Stephen King wants to be. Yeah. And he's going to go, like, the whole thing is he's going to go back to this house where notorious child predator used to live and re-traumatize himself in order to write a book.
He's gonna pick the scab.
Yeah, and he gets there, and someone else has moved into the house, and he's like, "What the fuck? Who would want to live here?
A different child predator? Damn it!"
Yeah, it is like maybe it's something to do with the house. It just makes people into child predators, and I wanted to live there. What does that mean about me?
Shit, he dodged a bullet.
Yeah, he's lucky it wasn't available to rent. Yeah, I think it's a great performance. It's obviously it's the lead of the movie, but it's one of the most grounded and naturalistic performances in the movie. And he's a pretty compelling leading man. I like him.
So I'm going to go ahead and disagree because I thought it was boring.
You thought he was boring?
He wasn't compelling to me. And I don't know if it was David Soul's performance or if it was the way Ben Mears is written. Because... oh man, like that guy,
just a block of wood deal.
Yeah, he's just like not a guy you would want to have a pint with. Oh, he's just and he's just kind of a boring hero. They could have had a way more interesting thing. He's not very he's just not very dynamic. He's just wooden.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. We got different takes on Ben Mears. Where I kind of agree with you is they play him as though like he is such a magnetic personality. People are just drawn
to him.
And I do not get that impression. Like, I think he's an interesting hero for this story, but I don't think like the whole town would fall on themselves to get near him.
Yeah, he seems like he would be like the straight man to some funny guy, and they'd be good buddies.
Yeah.
You know, like he's the chill, easygoing straight man.
Well, he's very much the kind of guy when you say have a beer with him. He's not going to talk when you go out to have a beer.
Me talk.
Yeah, and then he's going to write a thinly veiled version of you in his story, and you're like, any resemblance to people in real life is purely coincidental.
Yeah, so I don't know. He was all right. So I got James Mason as Richard Straker, the familiar.
Yes.
Probably the best performance in the movie.
He's really good. And he's so, like, he is very charming. But charming in that way, like, you feel like you're being charmed and it's scary.
Yeah, he seems like he's like a high society guy from like Europe or New York or somewhere bigger than this.
Yes.
And he's just above all this nonsense of a small town, and he really portrays being like cultured.
Yeah.
He's like cultured amongst the unwashed masses.
Yeah, he's sort of friendly, but letting you know he's doing you a favor by being friendly with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely your pleasure to talk to him.
Yes. Yeah. And the scenes like where he's speaking for the master, like when we're in the Petrie kitchen and Barlow comes in and donks their heads together and has this showdown with the priest. He's like, "Back, shaman!" He's proper like Gothic horror. It's a little bit camp, a little art, but like perfect for the genre.
This performance was exactly what was needed. And I like that he was a little bit of an older fella.
Yeah.
Gives more like gravitas.
Yeah, and he's like, everyone in this movie is either a working ass TV actor or a former movie actor.
Yeah.
And he's in that camp of the former movie actor. The best days of his career are behind him.
He's a little fancier than some of these other rubes.
Yeah, but he can still show up and deliver the goods once the check clears.
Yeah.
You know, like he's in that stage of his career.
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah. Next, I've got Lance Kerwin as Mark Petrie. Coolest kid in town, I think.
I
very
think so.
Cool
yeah,
kid.
he is the coolest of the kids.
I like his D&D models and his Aurora models, and he's got Frankenstein and a Wolfman poster on the wall.
And his dad's kind of a downer, and he's like, "I'll make a living."
Yeah,
I'll figure it out, old man.
Yeah, because his dad is like a
accountant or something.
And he's an insurance adjuster, and he's like, Marcus, like, I want to be like a movie makeup artist or maybe an escape artist like Harry Houdini. And the dad's like, "Oh no, I don't know how the kid turned out like this."
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the contents of his room, he has had lots of money spent on him as a kid. So, I mean, it's obvious how he got that way. You just indulge him.
Yeah, and he's just a weird, arty kid.
Yeah, totally cool. I like kids like that.
Yeah, it's proto Stranger Things kind of kid. Definitely. I mean, we see like his like hand painted wizard model on one of the shelves. Definitely a D&D player.
Oh yeah,
definitely
the coolest kids play D&D.
Yeah, I was just like, this kid has the best room. Like as soon as like I want all of his.
My
shit.
Room was not nearly that cool.
He has a Wolfman mask and a Frankenstein mask, and I was just like, "Ooh, that's cool. That's cool." I'd be like those Glick boys wanted to go over there and hang out at his house.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just all props. I think that like the performance was good.
Yeah,
he was convincing,
and he has a long career on TV. I think my favorite moment with him, I have a lot of favorite moments with him, is when Susan is approaching the house and you see him kind of on the ridge running for the house with a handful of wooden stakes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this fucking kid's just going to go and end the movie prematurely.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, there's a vampire and I'm going to go kill it while it's sleeping during the day.
Yeah, I was like, we're 2 hours in. Get her done, kid.
Yeah, he just was like, I'm not messing around. As the nerd, he is the subject matter expert on vampires.
Yeah.
So, like, when his friend shows up floating at the window, he's like, looks like something a vampire would do. Goes and grabs the cross off of one of his model kits and is like, blam, you can't have this, vampire.
It's just like in Sinners when the lady's like, why can't you just come in yourself?
Yeah.
You're a big, strong man. Why don't you just come in?
Yeah. He already knew. He's like, he doesn't have any of the problem the adults do with, like, they need to convince themselves that these are vampires.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, vampire, obviously.
He's flying. He has reflective eyes.
Look at his teeth. Those are blood-sucking teeth.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Petrie's is the cool one in the movie.
Next, I got Bonnie Bedelia as Susan Norton.
Yeah. You know, this is kind of the leading lady of the movie, right? And she ends up becoming, like, a totally cool vampire at the end.
Yeah.
Man, this character, I don't know what the point of her was.
She's there...
She's there for two men to fight over?
I won't say that she gets fridged, but she is there, I think, to make Ben invest in the town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's already invested. He's from the town. Like, so no shade to the performance. The performance was fine. It was actually better than fine. It was one of the better performances. Yeah. But, geez, like, story-wise, she was hella deletable.
Yeah.
Like, because she didn't accomplish much of anything in the movie.
Well, and they fully, from where it falls in the book and where it is in the movie, they take her death out of the point in the book where it would be and move it to the epilogue, and it changes nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't change the flow of the story at all. So, yeah, that gets to your point. She's underserved by the writing.
Yeah, this is classic writing where it's just man-centric. Mm-hmm. You know, like, she could have been a lot more in this movie.
Yeah, she is more in the book, but I do think it is something... when you read Dracula, the women characters in Dracula... are much more integral.
Yeah, Mina is kind of the hero.
Yeah, obviously. Like, Mina is a very standout character in that book.
This could have been the Mina of this book, of this movie.
But it's not. It's almost like Mark is the Mina of the book.
Yeah, Mark is the Mina, yeah. Sad.
The little boy is the lady.
Well, I mean, I think Mark should have been the Van Helsing, and Susan should have been the Mina.
No, Lou Ayres, the English teacher, played by
he is, but
playing Jason Burke, he's the Van Helsing of
that's
the,
true.
Of
the old knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
he's the nutty professor.
I thought that Bonnie Bedelia's performance was just fine with poor writing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We got Lou Ayres as Jason Burke. He's the former English teacher, and he is the Van Helsing. He's the old man.
Yeah,
he's the Van Helsing of classic Dracula movies, where he's just the information source, not the vampire slayer.
Right. He doesn't. He tells you he doesn't go himself because
he's old and weak,
and he has a heart attack.
Yeah, this dude is no vampire slayer, but
infirmed.
He knows things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a research monster.
Yeah, he's like the dude in Halloween the inspector who tells everybody all the stuff. Yeah, he's that guy. And that's fine. He does a good job. I like that character. I have a soft spot for English teachers. Mm-hmm. So, I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, again, it's one of the grounded, realistic performances.
Absolutely.
Naturalistic.
This guy is like a character actor who's like, he's playing a kindly old dude, and he's killing it. So we got Ed Flanders as Bill Norton.
As Bill Norton. I need to remind myself who Bill Norton even is.
He's the town doctor.
He is Susan's dad.
Yeah.
He's one of the combo characters because her dad is not a doctor in the book.
Yeah. Also, just delete this character. You don't need him. None of his scenes mattered.
Yeah. I mean, he gets deleted by vampires.
Yeah. I mean, more people to die.
He's more people to die. Yeah,
he was fine. Not important.
Yeah.
Fred Willard as Larry Crockett.
He makes
real estate agent guy.
Because
scumbag.
Larry Crockett is not just a scumbag in the book. He's full on evil. But Fred Willard makes me root for him because I find him funny and charming.
He's actually way more charming than the lead.
Yeah. And so I really, he's running around with Boom Boom Bonnie, his secretary. And when he dies, he was one of the deaths that I was the most bummed out about.
Dude, that scene where he gets caught with Bonnie's husband and they got the shotgun and everything. I'm like, oh damn, I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, and the husband, let's knock him out. George D'Souza as Cully Sawyer. Mm-hmm. He's a lout. He's awful.
He's such a terrible husband. I was like watching that scene. So there's a scene where she comes home from work and he's sitting on the recliner and he's basically already drunk as hell. And she's basically saying, "Hey, don't get drunk because we're gonna get it on later if you're not too drunk."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Get me a beer."
Yeah, and it's
like, "Are you fucking serious?"
And he's the kind of like a college age boy sort of pig where he's crushing beers and just throwing the cans on the floor for presumably for Bonnie to pick up later after he passes out.
Yeah.
And
what a loser.
Normally in these situations you're sympathetic to the husband when the hot wife is running around.
Yeah.
And he's a fat truck driver. I identify with him and he's so awful. I'm looking forward to him getting killed by vampires and sad when the guy that's cucking him ends up getting killed by the vampire.
Yeah, he is extremely unlikable, and so when he dies, you kind of cheer.
Yeah, yeah. And that is very in keeping with the book. He's an invention of the movie. He's not a character from the book. But most of the town people that get predated on by the vampires are all scumbags, and you spend a lot of time finding out how awful they are.
Yeah, you're like, I kind of like these vampires.
Yeah, you're like, good. Yeah, kill the guy that beats his wife. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, if you just stick to these scumbags, I'll root for the vampires all the time.
You're just an instrument of karma.
Except for they don't kill them; they turn them into more vampires, and then you just have a wife beating vampire.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, no.
So we got Kenneth McMillan as Constable Parkins Gillespie. Unremarkable character.
What a fucking prick. I mean, I know I'm sort of anti-police, and I always say this about the cop in everything that we watch, but this is a special shitty cop.
Well, I normally say bad things about the cops in these movies too, but I will say, preview of The Vault of Darkness, I got a good thing to say about a fictional cop.
Whoa, very interesting.
So yeah, this guy, no, you don't like him. He's like these. So basically, he's
like a boss hog.
Larry Crockett and Parkins Gillespie. These are the people in Jaws who prevent them from stopping. They're the corrupt small town jackasses that prevent them from closing the beach.
Yeah,
that's who these guys are. They're the obstructionist jerks that you don't like.
The only reason he's concerned about Straker and Barlow at all is just sort of like a latent homophobia thing.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, a couple of weird queers moved in here.
Yeah, and this is Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah. He's a real scumbag. But I will say this for him. He does the smart thing and gets his family out of town when people start falling to vampires.
And he gives his gun over to the guy.
Yeah, and he's just like, I don't want to fuck around with vampires. I took this job because being a small town sheriff is a lazy job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with him.
Yeah.
I mean, get out.
Yeah, we already mentioned Julie Cobb as Boom Boom Bonnie Sawyer.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Bonnie too until she said he broke in and raped me, and I was like, oh. Bonnie, you sell out. You don't even stand by him.
You don't even own your own behavior. Like people who immediately lie when they're confronted with I don't. It's just so obvious. Like you catch someone stealing something, and they're like, "I didn't steal it. It fell in my pocket."
Yeah.
No.
Husband comes in. They're in bed in their fancy underwear, and she goes, "He broke in and raped me."
It's like, yeah, and he made you change into your lingerie first, and he wore his silky boxers.
Yeah. No, bad one, Bonnie. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad one.
She was a character I liked until then.
Yeah.
As well.
Who do we got?
Yeah,
Mike Ryerson.
Yeah.
He's
played by Jeffrey Lewis.
Juliette Lewis's dad. It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird how these connections happen because we just covered a Juliette Lewis movie last episode.
I mean, we all know that Hollywood is all Nepo babies.
It is all Nepo babies. And I would say the apple fell a great distance away from the tree because I think he gives a fairly terrible performance in this movie.
The Undertaker is just trash.
This
is not an interesting character. Just cut this role.
It is so like his dog gets sacrificed early on, and he he's not the right kind of disturbed by it. I mean, he's not happy about it.
It's like, dang it. Now I got to get a new dog.
Yeah, like he's not good to the dog.
No, he just like locks it in a cemetery.
Yeah, it's like like a junkyard dog, but it's a cemetery dog.
Yeah.
I thought this was such a weird sort of stilted performance that didn't fit anyone else's performance in the movie.
Yeah.
And I know he's a veteran character actor, but just like I bumped up against him big time. Every time he was on camera, I was like, this guy is just in a different movie from everyone else.
There are so many more little roles. I don't know if we need to go through every single one of them.
Probably Barney McFadden, who is the other guy who goes and gets the vampire chest from the docks. And is the other part of the love triangle with Susan.
Yeah.
Also not a good performance, but it's a key character.
Well, it's a terrible performance. And he's just like, and the writing is just like so basic. It's like, I'm going to go beat that guy up who's now dating my ex-girlfriend who won't talk to me. And she's moved on completely and seems really happy. I'm going to beat that guy up.
Yeah, because I'm a loser plumber.
Yeah, what the hell? Plumbers aren't losers.
No, I know. That's
tradesmen make a lot of money.
That's a good job.
And that's a great job. But this guy's an asshole because if your lady leaves you, fine, be sad. Even be mad. But if she finds happiness elsewhere, that means it's not happening, bro. You got to find your own happiness. And he can't figure it out. So he's just going to go and try to beat up the author? What the hell?
To be fair to him, in the book, it's clear that he's already been turned by the vampires at this point.
Oh, okay. So
the movie, it seems like he gets turned after this.
Yeah, because he didn't fly or have fangs or anything.
Yeah. In the book, when he attacks him in the street, and he's like all wrapped up in like a trench coat and a big hat and sunglasses and gloves, so that he's not going.
So that would have been cooler.
It would have been more interesting
if the vampire is getting vengeance because he feels wrong.
Yeah, because that's part of the theme in the book is the people he turns. He turns them so like there's something they want power for. Like he seduces them that way, and the movie really just sort of glosses over that.
Reggie Nalder as Kurt Barlow, it's actually a bit part. It's actually a bit part.
It is a bit part, but it is completely iconic. Like it's on the poster, right? Like if you look at the Salem slot, the VHS tape, it's Kurt Barlow looming over the house.
Yeah, and then they used the exact same photo for Salem's Lot 2.
Yeah.
They didn't even change anything.
Yeah, the Return to Salem's Lot.
Yeah. The Glick boys, we got Brad Savage as Danny Glick and Ronnie Scribner as Ralphie Glick. I felt a little bit bad for little Danny Glick.
Yeah.
Because he got left in the woods. Like, what a jerk older brother.
And it's Ralphie that gets left behind. Danny makes it back. Ralphie gets got by Straker and sacrificed to Beelzebub.
Yeah.
Rough one. But rough one for Danny. It's no big, like, he's a little kid vampire. That you're just stuck like that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a tough life, a tough unlife he has in front of him. There's really not Mary Windsor as Eva Miller, who's the lady that owns the boarding house.
Meh.
She's just sort of she's a former movie star also. Like, she was a big, like, femme fatale in the film noir era.
Yeah.
So she's sort of if you're a cinephile of that period, you're going to recognize her as a former movie star, but it's not a huge part.
And it's just serviceable. It wasn't important at all.
Yeah, I'm fine with dusting over the rest of these people
because they're just not important.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe we got Gordon Weasel Phillips. He's the town drunk, weird, eccentric dude.
I love the guy. I love this character in the book, and I think this performance is just trash.
It's kind of whack, but there's this exact same character in Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's true. The drunk. Well, Weasel is a drunk, not like
not just a weird guy.
He's not a guy that has, like, ancient knowledge or whatever, like the guy in Friday the 13th. He's just a drunkard that has ruined his life.
Well, and he says kind of cryptic things or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's always a weird character that says weird things and cryptic things. I think the Primaris version, the best iteration of weird character who says weird things is Log Lady.
Oh yeah,
she's my favorite.
Yeah, she is the best version of it. I love Weasel and Eva in the book so much. They're some of my favorite side characters, and I just feel like it's just sort of hinted at. The show, even as long as it is, this movie doesn't have the time to go in depth, but they have such a tragic romance that I find it's really one of my favorite side plots in the book.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did not love Elijah Cook Jr.'s performance, unfortunately.
Nah. It was mid, if not
bad.
Bottom, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't feel tonally, it feels like it's in a comedy, like in sort of like a screwball comedy of the 60s.
Yeah.
Instead of a Gothic horror from the 70s.
Yeah.
I guess we're getting to the wrap up. So what's your personal highlight?
My personal highlight is, there's a couple things in the running, but I had to go with my favorite was, I just like the master vampire himself, Kurt Barlow. I thought that their choice to go with Nosferatu makeup, to make him silent, and the overall look and style to go with ugly vampires was daring. When finding a dashingly handsome guy to be a Christopher Lee style Dracula or Bela Lugosi style Dracula would have been a thing. Yeah. They have some handsome guys cast in this movie. They could have had one of them be a Dracula type.
The guy that plays Straker could be a sophisticated, slightly older Dracula.
Absolutely. He would have been awesome. And ultimately, I think that was my favorite part of it because it subverted my expectations that these would be, the types of vampires it would be. I thought it was going to be a Dracula style movie. The crate arrives on the boat and all that. I was like,
so you didn't know who, like,
I didn't know anything. I raw dogged this movie beginning to end. No info.
I had seen that sequence in the Petrie's kitchen before. That was probably the only scene from the movie that I'd ever seen.
So the Kurt Barlow and just general decision and practical effects to make them look that way. Yeah. That was my favorite part of the movie.
Cool.
How about you? What's your personal highlight?
I'm glad you said that. And I was going to pick the other iconic scene to me.
Floating kids?
The floating kid.
Yeah, that was my other one.
It's Danny Glick coming to Mark Petrie's room. And anytime we're in Mark's room, I love it because I'm just like, I'm just looking for all the Easter eggs of like every cool collectible that he has. And then Danny comes floating and knocking at the window.
It's like scratching.
Yeah. And unlike when he went for Juliette Lewis's dad, that was the first person we saw him feed on. Where that guy is a doofus and didn't know what was coming. Mark Petrie is such a like on the ball, self-possessed kid that he's just like, vampire. All right, what do I do with a vampire? Cross.
Better get a cross.
Yeah, and I just love the way that Mark handles himself and the way Danny reacts and the effect of Danny floating out there with the fog and the contacts. It's just one of the iconic moments of the film.
Yep, that was my other spot. That was my other scene.
Yeah, and I just thought, so cool. Like, I see why this has stuck around with people.
That scene really subverted my stereotype of hating scenes with just kids.
With just kids,
because it was awesome.
Yeah. What worked for you?
I mentioned most of these things before, but the atmosphere of dread that was engendered in the movie, I really liked. I thought the direction was really good. He created kind of a constant slow burn of a dread scenario. I feel like he was able to just slow ramp the unsettling nature of everything. He's like boiling a frog. And you're the frog. And then I of course I mentioned as my personal highlight the iconic vampire design. I love Nosferatu. That's my jam. So I would also say that I think that this movie benefited from some extremely strong performances, particularly Straker. And I think that this, and of course the kid, there was just, it's such a big cast. The highs were high, the lows were low. So I think that the high points were a big strength and they worked for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
And before we get too far in that, the highs are high and the lows are low, but because the cast is so big, you don't ever spend long with the low ones, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to live in it.
Yeah, you're like, every time Weasel's on screen, he's just like chewing on the scenery, and it sucks. But he's never there very long because we have to get onto one of the other dozen of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what worked for me?
You? Yeah,
I think it's a really strong adaptation of the source material. My appreciation of the movie went up reading the book.
Wow.
Where I was thinking like, they did a really good job of picking and choosing and combining where it made sense and just taking a ponderous book and streamlining it down to a meandering 3-hour movie. I think it maintains the pacing and the tone of the book and the heart of the characters, even when it's combining characters down. And that obviously was not an easy task because it took many writers taking a whack at it before they finally got that to work. Like you said, Kurt Barlow's makeup design, he's an Orlok clone, but he is one of the best Orlok clones.
Yeah.
And it's just an iconic image, that image of him in the kitchen or him in his coffin.
At this point, that's a type of vampire.
Yeah. Nosferatu. It's a whole clan. Yeah. And then finally, there is occasionally really great cinematic visuals. Yeah. Sometimes it's very flat and TV style and seems like a TV drama. And then every once in a while it clicks in and you're like, oh yeah, this is the guy that directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the cinematographer that shot Return of the Living Dead. These guys know how to shoot a horror movie and they're really good at it. Like some of the best people at doing this.
Absolutely.
And at different points in the movie, they get this opportunity to really show their chops. And when they're chopping, it's really good. What didn't work for you?
So pacing.
Yeah.
And this is not just me being a short attention span. This is not just a slow burn, but like the powder went out, at certain points. This is...
You have to
this. This is
you hear him
3 hours.
Starter. Yeah.
Oh my God, 3 hours. So many character intros for characters that don't really stick around or really just have like one or two little payoff scenes down the road. Not super important. I felt like we had 3 hours worth of a movie and only, I don't know, an hour of enjoyable, like, kind of moving. I really do think this could have been a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, the UK cut is 2 hours.
Yeah, it would have been so much better at 2 hours.
I wish we had that access. And probably they don't even have it anymore unless you have an old VHS tape.
Yeah.
But I wish we had that 2-hour cut because I think it would be much better.
So that's number one. Number two, David Soul's performance as Ben Mears is flat. It is wooden. It lacks a compelling... it lacks any charisma. He's not... Like, he draws down... He attracts the hot girl right away, like... But he has no riz.
Yeah.
He is not interesting. He also dresses like I don't know, like an out of work lumberjack. He does not have anything going for him.
It helps that she was reading a book with his picture on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, look at that girl over there reading a book that's got my picture on the back of it.
How corny is it to approach someone who's reading your book?
It's very thirsty.
Yeah.
Do you want me to sign that for you?
Yeah, God, yeah. Yeah, so I wasn't invested in this guy.
Okay.
And I think I was way more invested in other characters.
Okay.
And then lastly, I mentioned it in my what worked for me was the variable quality of the acting. Performances were all over the map. And I will say, kids aren't scary. These kids aren't scary. Just period. They're just not. They're really well lit.
Yeah.
They're just kids in like white makeup and, wearing their Sunday best. And they got shiny eyes and little rat fangs. It's like, that kid ain't scary.
Yeah.
You could hold him down with one hand and stick him with the other. Yeah. These kids are not scary. I don't know what kind of horror movie this was where that was supposed to be scary, but it certainly was not. Like, I've seen movies, like we've seen Interview with the Vampire, where Claudia is scary. She attacks people out of the shadows or lures them in and then lunges at the throat. These kids, not scary.
That's an all-time great child performance.
It is one. It's the archetype of an excellent child vampire.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, these kids not even in the top 10.
Is no 10. Claudia.
No. So what about you? What didn't work?
I'm going to say the same things. The movie is ponderous. It's so slowly paced, and I get it. Like, it aired over 2 nights, and there's commercial breaks, and it's sort of like...
And it was a different time.
It's a different time. It's the 70s. There's less competition for your eyeballs. I get all of that, but I'm watching it now, and it is like you and I, while you were watching it, we were texting a little bit. And normally I would just leave you alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, he can text while he's watching this. It's not going to affect, because he's an hour away from anything happening.
Well, yeah. And I have Signal on my laptop that I am taking notes on already. So it's not a thing.
Yeah. So I just sort of knew that this was not a movie that you it's like the prototype for The Other Screen, what Netflix calls it now.
Yes.
Where they make content that you can have on in the background.
I love that kind of content.
Yeah.
I'll straight up say I love that content because I paint and I like to write.
And that this movie is that. I saw one of the reviews that I saw on Letterboxd. Someone called it porridge horror. and they said it was a comfort watch. It's just something they put on.
Okay.
And I can see how, this is totally a background movie that you just have on.
I watched the first 10 seasons of Alone as my background.
Yeah.
Just, it's on.
And so I can see how it is good other screen. It is a great The Other Screen movie, but it is a hard sit to watch 3 hours of this. I split it into 2 nights, and it still was kind of a hard sit, and I still lost Lisa.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, all right, I'm done with this.
Yeah, Carrie walks in, she's like, is this still going?
Yeah, yeah. And so I really wish that we could have, in the States, we could have that 2-hour cut.
We got to watch the new remake. We got to check that out.
Should we do an episode on it? Should we...
Fuck it, let's do it.
Okay, we'll slot that in coming up, and I'll save it till we both watch it. But I'll wrap this up. I won't keep banging on. The thing about the Universal Gothic Horror movies is they're all short.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like kind of 85 minutes to 90 minutes at the most.
The perfect
Maybe
length.
they hit 2 hours if it's like a really big one. This movie has the tone and pacing of one of those movies, but stretched out to double length. Mm-hmm. And it's just too much. It's just too much time for the amount of story they had.
Absolutely.
And then finally, the same, just like you said, there's so many different styles of acting going on in this movie. Like, there are people that are doing modern, naturalistic, 1970s style acting. And then there's some people who are doing more of a Universal horror, film noir style thing. And I also accept them. Straker's kind of one of them.
He's doing he's doing like a Gothic noir character.
Yeah, and I like that. And then there's just a bunch of jobbers, like TV acting jobbers that are on the CBA or like the Warner Brothers lot. And what show am I on today? And they're like, you're doing a vampire picture, son. And they put them out there, and they just show up and they hit the marks and do their lines. Mm-hmm. And it's such a jobbing quality of acting. And it's like every time we hit a jobber, I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah, like Weasel.
Yeah, like Weasel, like total jobber. Like, this is a guy who shows up, works like 9 to 5, doesn't know what TV show he's going to be on when he gets there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we need a drunk old guy over here. We need a grandfatherly guy over there.
Yeah. Can you do both? It's like, yeah, I'll wear the same flannel shirt and I'll just mess up my hair when I'm the drunk guy. Yeah. And so the ponderous pacing and the discordant styles of acting are the things that didn't work for me.
Absolutely.
Here's the tough part. How do we rate this movie?
So I rate movies based on how I would recommend it to other people. Mm-hmm. It's usually, because this is a podcast, we're kind of evangelists for the material or not. And I had to give this a 3-star rating because while I recognize that it's probably a 4-star quality,
sometimes
in times, it's so inconsistent, and I cannot recommend this to someone. For me, a 3 is a qualified recommend.
Yeah.
If you're a vampire movie person, which I am, watch this. It's a classic.
It's part of the canon,
and you should see it. But there's acting that ranges from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
There's no 5s in this movie. And so,
okay, yeah, I'll get on board with that.
And so basically, I just had to sell on 3. This is very qualified recommend. If you like classic movies, if you're older, you're probably good with this kind of pacing.
Yeah.
But if you're a younger person, you have to really be interested in seeing a classic vampire Stephen King thing.
Yeah, it is for completionists.
So what about you?
I came into this completely undecided, and I figured we would get there through the discussion, and I've been leaning 3 the whole time, because it is such an influential movie, and it's early in Tobe Hooper's career. It's an early Stephen King adaptation. It's one of the key vampires of the 70s, I think. But it is dull. It's just dull as dishwater most of the time, and so it's certainly not for everyone, but it's part of the canon, and so it kind of squeaks by with a 3. If you had gone 2, I would have gone 2 with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's crazy when you look up reviews for this, though, which I'm sure you're about to do, and a lot of people go full 5 on this.
Rotten Tomato has it at 89%, because these are obviously all niche reviews, people specifically interested in this.
I just think if you were 9 years old in 1979, you're an elder Gen Xer, and you saw this movie as a kid on TV, and it's maybe one of your first horror movies, it made a profound impression on you.
Absolutely.
And those people, this is like a linchpin movie for them. But you can't come to it late and have that same feeling.
Yeah, not a lot of sites had good ratings for this. Like, I mean, had good data for this.
Yeah.
IMDb has it at 6.7, and I asked AI. I said, so what is it on a scale from 1 to 5 using only whole numbers, only whole stars? What is Salem's Lot rated? And it said a 4-star.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of an inordinate number of people give it a 5.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't think, it just scrapes the internet.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what a lot of people think.
give it a 5, and I didn't really see many lower than a 3.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the people that like this love it. Like Ryan Coogler would probably give it a 5. But that ain't it.
That ain't it. But like a highlight reel or a UK 2-hour cut, yeah, I think that's probably the way to go.
Yeah, after I was done watching this, I thought, this is ripe for a remake.
Yeah. Well, it's been remade twice.
Yeah, that's true.
And a sequel.
Yeah, the sequel evidently is trash.
Yeah, Return to Salem's Lot. Yeah.
Barely related, just trash.
All right, well, why don't we take a break and we'll come back with the Vault of Darkness. Before we delve into the Vault of Darkness, we ask that all initiates of the cult follow us on your favorite social media platforms at Nightshade Cult.
If you've enjoyed this content, help us grow the cult by sharing it with like-minded people and leave us a review wherever you listen.
Do you have any dark tidings?
No, not this time.
I've got a little, it's kind of a two-part. It's actually 2 separate pieces of news, but they are connected to each other. The first one, they're both cyberpunk themed.
Ooh.
So the first one is Warner Brothers has let the rights to do a live-action adaptation of Katsuhiro Otomo's cyberpunk epic Akira.
Oh, yeah.
They let the rights lapse. So they no longer have the rights to do that, and that's back out in the market if someone wants to snap that up. And then related to that is the director who was last attached to that movie, Taika Waititi, is now attached to direct a different cyberpunk movie, and that is a new adaptation of Judge Dredd with writer Drew Pearce, who wrote The Fall Guy and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Aren't people kind of over Waititi's style? Like, he's dropped some bombs.
Maybe a bomb. Thor: Love and Thunder didn't land.
Yeah, that was trash.
You haven't even seen it.
I just watched reviews and knew I didn't need to see it.
Yeah.
All the clips are like,
his sort of Waititi's he's a mixed bag director for me because he's made some exceptional films. Usually like his more dramatic dramedy sort of movies are his best films, like Jojo Rabbit and Hunt for the Wilder People. But his tendency to rely on improvising, it gets him into trouble. Like what works for what we do in Shadows doesn't necessarily work for like a big superhero movie because there's just too much digital bullshit to do. There's just too much going on. What this has going for it is he's not writing it. You have a solid, he's a good writer, but he's going to have a script that he's working from, which is, I think, is when he works the best, is when he has a script and he can play around.
Sure.
But there's a solid foundation for him to build his house on. And I think that even though the last adaptation of Dredd was really good, kind of shockingly good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need another adaptation.
Yeah. None of the adaptations of Dredd have really got the social satire aspect, I think, fully.
Okay.
And I think he would be a good choice for that. So I'm choosing to be cautiously optimistic about this.
I hope he gets somebody good to be Dredd. Like, can we just get Carl Urban?
Yeah, I think most people would want Carl Urban back. He was so perfect for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the plan because I'm sure they want to launch a new franchise with probably someone that's like 30 years old.
Yeah, and cheaper.
Yeah, and Carl Urban is got to be around 50 right now, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
So probably they want someone 20 years younger than that. I'd be happy if he came back, though. So anyways, the hand of the market takes away Akira and then hands Judge Dredd, and I think Judge Dredd's probably a better fit for Waititi than Akira was to begin with.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Akira is a really weird movie.
Yeah, and it's ponderous and serious, and maybe doesn't suit his tone. So, yeah, not that he's a one-trick pony. He can do different things.
Sure, I don't hate him. I just think he's inconsistent.
Yeah. What are you pulling out of the vault?
I got a book recommendation.
Okay.
It's actually a series recommendation. Okay. So this is some urban fantasy. I like to go back to the well with urban fantasy. And this is called Rivers of London. That is the name of the first book. Okay. It is also the name of the series. It is by a fellow named Ben Aronovich. And this is urban fantasy that is way lower fantasy than a lot of other urban fantasies.
Okay.
So it's more grounded in reality. There's paranormal stuff, like the first book is a ghost story. And the protagonist is a guy named Peter Grant, who's a young British police officer. He's in the London Metropolitan Police. Okay. And police in Britain are a lot different than police here in America. You know, they don't carry weapons. They're more, they're more in tune with community. I don't know. It's just a different vibe. And the author knows police work. Okay. He writes it really, really well. And a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago, I went to London and spent a couple of weeks there going around. And it's really cool because the author is obviously from London or a big fan because
of the city.
All of the places that this book takes place in are in London, and they're specific places like, oh yeah, we're going to Camden Town and blah 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 and all this stuff, and it's very grounded in reality. But there's stuff like turns out that this police officer has some latent supernatural power, and he gets found by this senior investigator, and he gets taken on as an apprentice so he can learn how to utilize his powers, for policing. And it's just, I didn't think I'd like it.
That sounds totally like your Dresden Files sort of thing.
It kind of does, but this is like this kind of subverts all the tropes. This is a thing about the child of immigrants to London. Okay. He's kind of got an outsider story. Like his mom is from Sierra Leone, and his dad is a black guy from London. Okay. And so he's kind of got an outsider's role. He's dealing with racism. A lot of it not overt, because they're a little more civilized about it, I guess. But it's not that I'm not down with a protagonist like that, but usually I'm not interested in long form stories where kind of oppression and prejudice are major themes, just because it's so heavy. It's hard to live in that. Somehow this story manages to keep it light. Okay. I'm almost done with the second book, which is great. And I'm really loving this series. I'm gonna keep reading it. There's 10 books.
Yikes! Okay, so you'll be reading it for a while.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take a break after a few and go check some other things and come back. I like to cycle through. So I would recommend anybody that likes Rivers of London or stories about London and policing, that sort of thing. Check it out. It's by Ben Aronovich. So what do you got? What are you pulling out of the vault?
So the thing that I thought of that is sort of what I think is for the younger end of Gen X and the elder millennials, the thing that was our Salem's Lot, and that was the 2-part adaptation of It in 1990.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, directed. What's the guy's name? Wallace is the last name. Tommy Lee Wallace. And adapted from a screenplay by Lawrence D. Cohen from, obviously, the Stephen King novel. And I was just thinking, the way that the way I watched that movie when I was like in 7th grade or 8th grade, whenever that came out, is probably how the generation, the older end of our generation, felt about Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
And Tim Curry, of course, plays Pennywise the Clown. And it is available to stream. It's a 3-hour movie, just like Salem's Lot. It's available to stream on HBO Max now. And I think if you like Salem's Lot, you would also like it. And it's got a lot of the same themes as sort of childhood trauma and endangered children, and then going back to the town where you were traumatized to go and face that fear. And in spoiler for the end of that movie, it takes the form of a big puppet spider thing that they kill with their bare hands. Yeah. And it's very, very cheesy in what had been a pretty scary movie up until that point. But even that is sort of part of the charm of it. So I think if you watched Salem's Lot and you were like, yeah, I want more of this, I want more 2-part TV adaptations of Stephen King novels where children are endangered, I recommend it.
All right. That's, I mean, Stephen King he's very popular for a reason. Lots of people love his stuff.
And then it was also recently readapted. Yeah, and you could watch that if you want a more
Bill
modern
Skarsgård, right?
Yeah, as Pennywise. And that's Nosferatu.
I'm always down with Bill Skarsgård.
That's more connectivity, right? That's another Nosferatu, Stephen King, Pennywise connection being made. Yeah, so watch it. Either version. I'll put links to all of them.
Both of them.
Yeah. Watch all 3. Why not? What are you doing with your time?
We'd like to thank you for joining the Nightshade Cult.
Until we meet again, we're wishing you unpleasant dreams.